ISB has offered to be with us this evening. And we welcome Ms. Richa Agarwal. She's from ISB and she's the program lead for admissions and financial aid. So we thank you, Richa, for you and the entire team at ISB for actually your thought and generosity and actually being here with us. So the event is actually going to be simple. It's in two parts. So to begin with, Richa is going to address you and share the most important information that every ISB aspirant must have. And then she'll be taking questions one-on-one. So I hope all of you really benefit from this session and make good use of this opportunity. Thank you so much, Richa, for being here, and so over to you now.
Thank you so much, Akanksha, and to your entire team at Experts Global for giving us this platform to interact with the students. It's always a pleasure at ISB to help students and in their pursuit to, achieve their ISB dreams. So thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. And very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for taking out time on a Sunday evening and joining us. The very fact that you joined us here also instills that confidence that you are seriously pursuing your MBA dream, and possibly ISB is in one of those lists, right? So just a quick show of hands so that we can plan and structure this session and the next 1.5 hours. How many of you all have attended any of our sessions before, either in person or online? Just a quick show of hands so that I know how much time I have to spend on talking about ISB and the program. Okay, there's only one show of hand. Okay, so I'm assuming the larger audience, okay, 2 hands, 3. Okay, the larger audience has not heard about ISB and not gone through the details. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take about 10-15 minutes, take you through the origin story of ISB, what ISB truly believes in, its a vision story, then talk about the PGP program, the application process. I'll take about 10-15 minutes and then I'll open up the floor for questions. Any questions that you may have with respect to what ISB looks for in a candidate. 2, if you have already logged in, if you've already started working on your application, I can also open up the application portal right here on the screen and take any questions that you may have with respect to the portal itself. So allow me to share my screen and very quickly take you through the ISB story, guys. So yes, ISB is now 20 years old, guys. We started out in 2001, and when we started out, we wanted to be global top ranked research focused business school, creating future leadership pipeline. Now there are 3 important aspects here: top ranked, research focus, and creating future leadership pipeline, right? So for that, we decided not to reinvent the wheel, but to already partner with our existing top-notch players. So for which we decided to partner with Kellogg's and Wharton. Now, Kellogg's and Wharton are the topmost business schools known for their curriculum, their research focus, and their faculty, and they support ISB in the way whole PGP is designed and managed at ISB. We also have various faculty who come from these colleges, and we also have student exchange with these colleges. Moving on, we further partnered with LBS and MIT. LBS and MIT, as you would know, they are the foremost business schools known for their research focus. That's where ISB gets our research centers and research expertise from. These schools have helped build our research centers at our campuses. Right. We also have various faculty, visiting faculty coming in from these colleges, and we have student exchanges as well. Finally, we also partnered with the Fletcher School. Fletcher School is known for its law and legal expertise. That's where ISB gets its public policy expertise from. We also have a dedicated research center on public policy right here on the campus. So not just these 5 schools wherein we have visiting faculty and student exchange programs, we also have collaboration with 50 other top global business schools wherein we have over 200 plus faculty who visit every year, deliver the courses at PGP ISB, and we have student exchange programs. Guys, so the focus is the one single focus of ISB being offering you the best global management program right here in the heart of the country, be it inviting the best of professors from the various organizations or these institutes. I'll talk more about it when I come to the faculty slide. Moving on to the next. I also talked about ISB wanting to be the top-notch school, right? So if you look at the rankings, ISB in very less time, or rather let me put it this way, than in the FT ranking list, ISB is the youngest school to be appearing in this list, and not just appearing, we've been topping the leadership charts. We've been consistently ranked #1 school in India. We are #4 in Asia, #32 globally. We're also ranked #1 in the world for the highest salary growth that we have to offer to our students. Not just FT ranking, guys. We're also ranked #1 by Forbes, by Bloomberg. We're ranked #12 by Poets and Quants, so on and so forth. So all of these rankings just indicate one thing, that ISB has successfully been able to manage to offer quality, high quality education in India for its students, right? So that was about the origin story, the vision story of ISB. We now move on to what ISB has to offer to its students, right? These are also important value propositions that each student should look for while shortlisting an MBA or a business school for itself. Let's talk about the first one, the faculty. At ISB, we follow a very unique model. We call it as a portfolio model. What does a portfolio model mean? We have resident faculty, we have visiting faculty, and we have clinical faculty. Resident faculty, fairly simple. These are 70 plus professors who are ISB faculty residing, living on either of our campuses. Visiting faculty, I talked about various partnerships that we have, not just the 5 founding schools, but also 50 other global schools that we have collaboration, partnership with. We have over 200 plus visiting faculty who come from these top colleges. The third, which is the clinical faculty, they are, guys, not professors, but they are subject matter experts. They are experts from the domain, the industry, the function that they represent. For example, everybody heard of NASA here, right? So who was the Chief Knowledge Officer of NASA? Dr. Edward Roger. Dr. Edward Roger has been serving NASA for over 2 decades. Very recently, he retired from his services last year, so to say. He has been teaching at ISB for over a decade now. And what does he teach? He teaches managing business complexity to PGP students. So imagine learning managing business complexity from a rocket scientist who deals complexity day in and day out, and no better than a rocket scientist can have or face business complexities, right? So that was the example of clinical faculty. We have over 50, 60 clinical faculty who come with that one single objective to teach you how to apply your learnings at workplace, right? Application of learning is very, very important, more important than just acquiring one. Moving on, when we talk about knowledge, let's move on to the next point, which is integrated learning process at ISB. So what is integrated learning? We have classroom learning, which is important, which is why we're all here. 1 year case methodology based. We have 8 terms. The first 3 terms focus on core modules. The next 5 terms focuses on your specializations, choosing your electives. So this is classroom learning. But what is also important is your outside classroom learning. Now it's a 3-pronged approach here. First one is a peer networking. 1 year, 900 students on the campus who represent multi-industry, multi-function. Great learning opportunity to learn from each other's experiences. In my next slide, I'll talk about the class profile where I'll take you through the demographics and the diversity that we have. So that's peer learning. You guys, 900 students living on the campus for next 1 year, learning from each other. Second opportunity is to learn from global students during your international exchange programs. Each of you, each student is eligible to pick up a college a module of your choice, which is a term of your choice, visit to these colleges, spend a complete term there, interact with the students and gain knowledge. We also have various clubs on the campuses. We have social clubs, we have professional clubs. These clubs again provide enough and more opportunity, creates enough and more platform for you to learn from the various events that they conduct. Talking about events and competitions, the flagship events like Advaita, ILS, Bandhan, Artha, these are flagship conclaves which these professional or the social clubs conduct. These are workshops, these are 2-day, 1-day seminars wherein we have faculty members from other universities across the globe who visit, industry experts who come as panel specialists. There are various panel discussions happening. There are various case study discussions happening. So these are all learning opportunities. We also do a lot of case comps. Very recently, a bunch of our students represented so there was this case comp which was held at Amazon and HUL. A bunch of our students won the gold prize there. They were the winners there. Not just domestic level case comps. A bunch of our Mohali students represented the school in Singapore and they won the gold prize. So again, great benchmarking opportunity to benchmark your your knowledge, your learnings, not just at the domestic level, but also at the international level. Coming to the third point, which is very important, which is the applied learning, right? We all know that ISB does not offer internships, but why? Because when you join the ISB PGP, you at least have 2 years of work experience, unlike many other Ivy League schools wherein they're recruiting fresh graduates. So internships are offered by those schools where they recruit fresh graduates. But here you already have prior work experience, so internships are not required. However, does it mean that we keep you away from the industry and the applied learning? No, we have something called as the ELPs, a module, which means the experiential learning program for all those working professionals or all of those who want to move into corporate. It is a 3-month live business project. You will be working in the organization with a faculty mentor. A faculty will be assigned to you as a mentor. So you work on that live business project. You get an opportunity to present your observations, findings to the organization. And if they are accepted and liked by the organization, you can also convert it as a PPO, pre-placement offer. So that was for the working professionals. What is it that we have for entrepreneurs or those who want to move into entrepreneurship? Yes, we have incubation cells on both our campuses. These incubation cells offer a module called as Planning an Entrepreneurial Venture, PAEV. This module takes care from ideation to the go-to-market strategy and everything in between, right from building a business canvas to creating a pitch, to be able to pitch it to the VCs, to be able to give you an access to the VCs, to be able to stabilize your startup idea. If after these 3 months, if your startup idea is incubated, after you complete the program, after you've graduated, which means for next 1 year, they give you a free office space, they give you stipend, which can take care of your education loan or your other living expenses, so that it provides you a safety net, like we put it, right? And within this 1 year, if you're not confident or if your startup has not stabilized, you can come back to the school and sit through the placements again. Right? So these are various learning opportunities that we give through the applied learning module. In my next slide, I talked about peer networking. So this is a quick snapshot of how the class looks like, guys. So very interesting. If you look at the gender diversity and the academic diversity, we are the only school in India which is at the Harvard standards, which is the 60-40 ratio. Be it gender diversity or be it the engineer versus non-engineer, we've been successfully able to create that balance in the cohort. On the extreme right-hand side, if you look at the demographics, very interesting range. The work experience ranges from 22 years to 24 years. The age profile ranges from 22 to 45. This is not the prescribed range, guys. This is the range in which the current class is there. Also talking about the scores, if you look at the GMAT GRE ranges, these are not the prescribed range. This is the range in which the current class, current cohort of 23 is there on the campus currently. Right? So GMAT range is 610 to 780, GRE 306 to 339. Very often, a lot of students ask me, ma'am, what is that one right score to crack ISB? Guys, there's no one right score. It's a range of scores. So if your score is in this range, yes, that box is ticked, but you got to work on the other elements of your application form, like your essays, capture all your roles and responsibilities, capture the impact that you're creating at your workplace. What are your additional awards and activities? What are your hobbies? Why do you want to do an MBA? What are your career goals? So all of these elements have to be captured very intelligently in your application form. ISB looks at a holistic profile evaluation, right? So these are all the elements which become important and integral. If you want, I can also sort of take you through the application portal once we've finished talking on these slides. The next slide, again, a lot of questions that students ask me that, ma'am, I come from a very unconventional background. I've never worked in an MNC before, or I come from oil and energy. It's a very, very niche. It's a very, very, very niche carved out function, and not very many people represent this. Do I still stand a chance? I'm a doctor. I'm a lawyer. Oh, yes, absolutely. We believe in diversity. And if you look at the snapshot, we have armed forces personals, we have doctors, we have lawyers, we have mountaineers, we have sports person. So when I talk about sports person, we have Ajay Jairam, who's a world champion. He's an ace shuttler, ranked 13 in the class. Next year, we have an IPL player who will be joining the cohort, which is Prathmesh. She currently plays for KKR, the Kolkata Knight Riders. We have entrepreneurs, we have bloggers, we have influencers, we have YouTubers. So all of these profiles are very niche, and they are part of the ISB cohort, because all of them could be representing different industries. But what is common, what is that one thing that they share in common, is their why MBA. Sooner or later, they have all realized the need of doing a management program in their career. So that's that one common emotion that all of them share, but diversity is absolutely welcome at ISB. Coming to the next point, quality network. Again, a very important data point for you guys, because your learning or your networking or your life, your connection with ISB does not end with this 1 year, right? It's possibly just the beginning. So if you look at some stats, in 20 years, in very less time, ISB has built a formidable network of 13,500 plus alums. Over 500 alums are already at CXO position, at leadership positions. We have over 600 entrepreneurs, and we have 12 unicorns, the made in ISB that we proudly claim as, right? So this is some of the stats. Two important key takeaways from this slide, guys. On extreme right-hand side, you see a data point that 79% of our alums are based within the country and 21% of them are ROW. Why is that important? Because again, a lot of students ask me this question that, ma'am, will doing a PGP give me an opportunity to take my career in the international markets? Will be able to take my career beyond the boundaries of the country? Is it acceptable in US, UK, Canada? That's your answer. 21% of the entire alumni database is outside of the country, either through direct placements. Direct placements are about 2 to 3%, but largely through networking or through within their organization, their organic growth, they have been able to make inroads in international markets. The second important data point here is a lot of students reach out to us that if they can come to the campus, sit through the classes, brush up their knowledge, interact with faculty, we've created a very structured learning process. We call it as a lifelong learning process here. We've created various special interest groups. Now, these groups work very closely with alums to conduct workshops, to understand the need, the current need, and conduct workshops in collaboration with ISB faculty, be it visiting faculty from other universities abroad or inviting a industry specialist. We do city-wise sessions, we do online sessions. There are about 14 of them. You can participate, you can attend based on your interest in one or many of these SIGs. They, on a quarterly basis or regular basis, conduct these workshops, which gives you a great opportunity not just to network, but also create a learning opportunity to unlearn and relearn, as they sort of claim. Moving on to the next point, world-class facilities. Again, very important, guys. 1 year you're going to be on the campus. So very important to understand how your student life looks like, right? We do have clubs. We have enough engagement opportunities. We have a lot of these applied learning opportunities. But what is life at campus? We have 2 campuses, one in Hyderabad, the other one is in Mohali. We typically play a video here, but in the online sessions, I typically avoid all of this because I like to keep it very interactive and chatty. If you want, you can visit our website and then have a look at that video, wherein we compare the student life, and it's exactly the same. The facilities and the amenities are just the same across both the campuses. We have an integrated admissions process that we call it. So you apply to Indian School of Business, not ISB Hyderabad or not ISB Mohali, right? And this is done to sort of carefully bear in mind that the diversity is maintained. We talked about diversity in my earlier slides, right? We want to ensure that the 60-40 mix is not just at the overall level, but also maintained at each campus level. So we want to ensure that not all engineers end up being on Hyderabad campus, or not all female students end up being on Mohali campus. We want to ensure that each of you all have your equal learning opportunities. So that's integrated admissions process. We also have integrated placements process, which means each year, all 900 students are on one campus. The recruiters are present on the same campus. The recruiters do not have access to which campus you come from. All they know that they're recruiting an ISB student. All right. Not just that, guys, your final award of the degree does not make a mention of the campus. You have successfully completed the postgraduate program in management at ISB, not ISB Hyderabad or Mohali. Your award of your alum card does not make a mention of the campus. It's one school, 2 campuses, 1 experience. You are an ISB student and you will be an ISB alum. It has no bearing on the campus, as to say. Yeah. Finally, we also have exchange programs between the campuses. So Mohali students get to spend one term on the Hyderabad campus and vice versa. Hyderabad students get to spend one term on the Mohali campus. Moving on to the last bit, which is the career opportunities. In the ranking slide, I did talk about ISB being #1 in the world for the highest salary growth that it has to offer. So let's look at some data here again. 900 students, 2,000 plus offer letters, which means each student has on an average more than 2 offer letters, which also means each student can sit through multiple interviews, which means you can have more than one offer letter in your hand and then select the best choice, right? The average salary that the students have been able to grab is about 34 lakhs. And the pre-ISB, post-ISB salary growth is on an average 173%. On my extreme right-hand side, a very important Venn diagram, again, for all of those questions around that, ma'am, will I be able to change my industry? Ma'am, will I be able to change my function? The answer is there. 79% of our students see a functional shift. 79% of our students also see an industry shift. Both industry and functional shift, about 65% of them. Also, a lot of students ask me that I've got about 10 years of work experience. I've got about 15 years of work experience. Is ISB PGP a right choice for me? Every year, we have about 10 to 12% of our folks who are the SECs, the senior executives that we call them, which means folks who've got more than 8 years of work experience. And approximately 10% of them grab leadership roles. Right? So these are lateral recruits that we call them. These are the ones who grab the leadership roles. So yes, irrespective of the number of years of work experience that you have, ISB will give you the platform. The only one thing that you have to keep in mind, you have to ensure that your 1 year of ISB, your learning has to be very competitive and very at par. Please ensure that you're participating in case comms and participating in various clubs. Ensure that you're gaining the right knowledge at every step, every opportunity that ISB gives you. Now, very quickly moving on to the application process. There are 3 modes to apply. The first one, fairly simple, direct entry for all of those who got more than 2 years of experience. When you apply to ISB and when you made an offer, you are the direct admits. For those who've got less than 2 years of experience, can also apply to ISB. If you are shortlisted, you will get a deferred admission letter, which means you can join the PGP cohort in the subsequent years once you complete 24 months of experience. The third one, which is very interesting, is the YLP. This is for all the final and the pre-final year students who are still in college, either in the bachelor's or the master's. So if you've done your master's immediately after your graduation without a break, you guys are also eligible for the YLP to apply to the PGP through the YLP route. Here in the YLP program, if you're shortlisted, if you receive the offer letter, you will join the PGP cohort after you have 20 months of work experience. 20, not 24, because we understand that across India, pan-India, the graduation months can differ. Our program starts every April, wherein there are some universities where the graduation only happens or the tenure gets over only maybe by May, June, July. So we at ISB are ready to take that loss of 3-4 months, and it's only for YLP that we accept 20 months. So these are the 3 entry routes. It's an online application form. You don't have to email anything to us. You don't have to send anything to us. All the documents, everything have to be uploaded. This one specifically for PGP and EO, because our deadline is next Sunday, which is 4th of December. You should have completed your graduation. You should have a valid work experience, which is a full-time work experience post-graduation. You should have a valid GMAT GRE score, any score which is valid, which is, as on 4th of December, not later than 5 years. And you have to fill in 2 essays, 1 letter of recommendation. Letter of recommendation is also fairly simple. Just enter the email ID of your recommender. Your recommender will receive an email. There is no template or there is no document that you have to send to us. Fill in your academic details, fill in your employment details, and submit the application. Upload all the relevant documents that are needed, again, in the portal itself. Here, the topic of both the essays are given. The first essay is about how you can contribute to the ISB community, maybe as a student, as an alum. It's a creative placeholder to showcase your strengths and your uniqueness. The second essay focuses on What are your career goals? Short-term, long-term career goals. In short, the agenda or the purpose of this essay is to capture your why MBA and your why ISB story. All right. So start working on these essays, start creating a draft on the Word document. The word limit is 400 words. So try working on these and then trim it to 400 words. Another important questions that most of my students ask us is, do we have scholarships for round 2 and round 3? The answer is yes. The first 3 are very important for all the Indian students: merit, need-based, diversity. Merit scholarships are applicable to all the students by default. Merit score is awarded to you based on your quality of the application and your interview score. Now, when I say quality of application, it is essays, it is LOR, it is awards and activities, just the way you build your application, right? So you get a profile score, you get a merit score. So that's merit scholarship. Need-based, fairly simple. If the family income is less than 18 lakhs for all of those who are working with NGOs or are working in PSUs or are entrepreneurs, your annual salary is less than 18 lakhs. This is for them, the need-based. Diversity, again, this is picked up from the application form itself. You could be from a very niche background, or you could be from social sector, or you could be basically the diversity element is picked up from your application form. Each student can apply to one or any of these 3 or all of these 3 scholarship buckets. However, you will be awarded only one. Okay, based on whichever is the maximum. So if you score maximum points in merit scholarship will be awarded to you. Vis-a-vis, if you score maximum on diversity front, the diversity scholarship will be awarded to you. But yes, all 3 buckets are eligible to all the Indian students. So that's a wrap on my application, on my slides. Quick summary. Application deadline is 4th of December. It's an online application form, and we thoroughly recommend that you start working on your application as in when you're also preparing for your GMAT or GRE. Your GMAT or GRE can be written on or before December 4th. We accept online scores or test center scores. We accept official or unofficial scores, which means you can write your exam on 4th of December, submit the unofficial scores and submit your application. Your official scores can come 2 weeks later. We accept unofficial scores. So with that, I'll stop sharing the screen and happy to take any questions. I did see some show of hands. I was getting notifications. So ready to take questions, and we'll go ahead with the first question. Yes, Rajat, please go ahead with your question. Unmuting you.
Hello.
Yes, Rajat, we can hear you.
Yes. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Actually, I have one question regarding the ISB application regarding extracurricular activity.
Okay.
So I want to ask about how does ISB Adcom see a particular extracurricular activities?
Sure. So let me just take you through. This is the application portal. Okay. And when I take you through the awards and activities, one very important point, if you see, none of these fields are mandatory. None of these fields, which means that if you have something to write, only then talk about it. It's okay to give it a pass as well. This is not a mandatory field in the application form. A lot of students ask me this, that I don't have a hobby, or I don't remember that anything in the recent past that I've got an award and achievement, possibly something that I did in 10th, which is not significant or which is not spectacular. It is okay. It's okay to give it a pass. At ISB, we understand that not everybody has possibly pursued it for a very long time or doesn't have something that, significant that they want to mention. That's why we've not made it mandatory. All of these are optional fields. So feel free to give it a pass if you don't have anything to write here. Not a problem at all.
Okay, still, if you would suggest, how can I judge if I am brainstorming my personal life and my professional life, and if I have to pick that this is something worth mentioning? So what is the roughly criteria would suggest that this should be worth mentioning? You should mention this, because as I see myself, though I have been active in multiple apart from my professional life,
Okay.
but it is not something that I can add at national level or international level kind of thing to
Sure.
just add weight. So that's why my reason of asking that in that case, how can I judge that this is worth mentioning?
Sure.
If I am, even though I have not participated so competitively, but I am genuinely interested in it, something.
Sure, Rajat. Sure. I think I've got your question. So, Rajat, if you look at the application form, okay, this is a quick summary of the various tabs here in the application form. You have enough and more placeholders to highlight your strengths. Okay. For example, let's start with the employment details. If you click on the employment details, you can talk about the kind of roles and responsibilities and the impact that you've created at work. This is one opportunity for you to highlight your strengths. It's okay if you've not done extracurriculars, but you can talk about the various achievements and the impact that you've created at the workplace. So if you remember when I was talking about the ISB's origin story and what ISB believes in, one of the elements in the vision statement is to create future leadership pipeline, right? We are looking for leadership potential in candidates. For folks who have 15, 20 years of work experience, they have proven leadership trajectories, right? And for folks who got 2 or less than 5 years of experience, they show initial leadership qualities. So ultimately, that is what we want. So we have something in the employment space where you can talk about these activities, where you can talk about these traits, leadership traits that you have exhibited. It's not a designation. Leadership is not a designation. Leadership are attributes, right? So talk about these. In the essay, talk about your strengths. Both the essays are actually a placeholder where you can talk about what are your strengths, what you bring to the table, how are you going to contribute to the student community right now, and once you graduate as an alum, how are you going to contribute to the ISB community. The second, again, essay is your career goals. So these are important stories for us. These are places where you can get or build your profile or get those scores, profile scores that we call it as. So there are enough and more opportunities for you.
Okay. And one thing I have to ask regarding when I was seeing the post MBA recruitment, so the function wise, the recruitment was mainly concentrated in 2 sectors. I said more than 50% was devoted to consulting and IT technology background. So the one thing I was not clear about the consulting, what is the subdivision? Basically, there's like there's some operation consulting or some different kind of consulting. So
Yeah.
in that case, I want to relate to, because I come from basically oil and natural gas sector, and it is basically an operation function, and I would just want to extend from this to operate something like operation consulting. So how can I relate myself to ISB post MBA? That is what I want to ask.
Sure, Rajat. So yes, you're right. Consulting is the largest recruitment function that happens at ISB. Approximately 33% of the students are recruited as consultants or recruited in the consulting domain. Now here again, it could be management consulting or strategy consulting. That mix or that split is not provided by the placements team. So unfortunately, I don't have that data point for you. And the second largest is the IT or the product management, yes. And the third largest is the BFSI. So these are the top 3 recruitments that happen at ISB. But if you look at oil and gas, or if you look at that function, right, a lot of students ask me that not just this, let's say even if it is legal or if it is healthcare, the representation is about 5 to 7%. So it is not a reflection of, ISB's competency. You have to look at it that, these are all diverse profiles. At the application level or at the classroom level, how many such profiles are actually there in the class? If you compare with the larger audience, they are just about 15, 20 of them. And that's why in the larger pie, you will see that they're only about 2 to 3% of them, right? So that is one thing that you have to keep in mind, that it's not that the opportunities are less, it's just that we have only those many students present in the class. And for you, you have expressed your interest in operations consulting. So like I said, I don't have the split of the consulting. I know that 33% of the pie belongs to the consulting, but fortunately or unfortunately, we don't have the divide of the strategy or the management consulting. So I don't know operations consulting, how many of them have gone, but I can always refer to the alums and the students and understand that how many of them have moved into operations consulting. But if that is something that you want to move into, please talk about it in your essays, because at ISB, of course, we did have a session with the placements team. And once you come on the campus, you will understand that the team will work with you from day one to understand what is it that you want from ISB. They will try and get you your dream role and your dream organization. So the list of companies or the list of profiles that you see, they are actually the profiles that the students have wanted. The students have briefed the placement teams that this is where I want to be placed. And that is when they will start reaching out to the companies, and that is when they'll start fetching those roles for you. So even in the past, if I feel that no alum or no student has ever moved into operations consulting, which doesn't look like so, if at all it is such a niche profile, you don't have to worry that, your opportunities are less. Possibly the team will be able to get something for you if you're aspiring for it. So I think that should be taken care of once you're on the campus. The placements team will be able to take care of that.
Okay, so thank you very much for that. And one thing regarding the scholarship, I just missed the slide because of network problem.
No,
So one thing I have to ask that as I come from a oil and gas sector, so does this come under a diversity profile, and am I eligible for a diversity scholarship provided by ISB?
Sure. Again, Rajat, diversity, one, yes, it's an underrepresented function and industry in the pie. So yes, absolutely, it's a very niche profile. And second, always remember that even though you could be coming from, let's say, the larger set, right? Every year we see that, for example, the mainstream engineers who are, into technology domain, large number of applications come from this pool. Even they build their essays and their profile, and they try to present their diversity. So this creativity is entirely in your hands, right? You have to ultimately spin your story. You ultimately have to project your strengths. So yes, while one opportunity is that you have your function and your industry in hand, but second, I would seriously urge you to build your story in such a unique way that your strengths are highlighted. Your uniqueness and your diversity is highlighted, and this is for the larger audience as well. Irrespective of which function you're coming from, be wary of, the kind of essays and the kind of content that is going in your application. So that is one thing that you have to keep. It's in your hand, entirely in your hand, to present your case to ISB through these various placeholders in the application form.
So do I need to write an additional essay for diversity scholarship, or it is considered automatically like merit-based and niche-based?
So here there are essays. So you will have to select, here you can select based on your, your function. And if you look at the essay here, the first essay is the diversity essay. So this is the first essay, main essay, that your diversity score is taken. And in the second tab, the scholarship tab, that will be what we will take. Your need-based, if you're coming from a social sector. So let's say, for example, the PGP Max scholarship, this is for all of those who come from social sector. AT&T, this is for all of those who represent technology. Right? So Bridge to India, these are all the folks who are Indian students who are working abroad, but want to move back to the country and give back to our society. So these are various types. These are very special diversity scholarships. So if any of this is eligible to you, please go ahead, select it and submit the respective essay. So all of this information is given in the portal. This, what you see on the screen, is a live application form of PGP.
Okay. One last question. I will not take much time now. Regarding the application, when I'm highlighting, when you mentioned highlighting the impact of my on the job.
Right.
So the one thing I want to know your opinion about the comparison between the basically quantitative impact and the qualitative impact, basically in the sense of using your soft skills. Basically the function that I am working and the company I am working, there is not a lot of scope to make huge change in terms of when money involved, because it's a PSU sector, and in the PSU sector, getting approved for a project even for a small amount takes a lot of time, and it's a lot of hierarchy involved. So the impact that basically we made as engineers or as assistant managers, so basically is in day-to-day activity and in day-to-day improving efficiency in daily operations. So how does that count?
Perfectly. I think you just answered your question yourself, right? Improving the efficiency. That's your answer. That's the impact that you've created. So when we talk about impact, it could be both qualitative or quantitative. Not necessarily all of us are saving monies for the organization, or not all of us are clocking the sales growth, but streamlining a process, removing bottlenecks for processes, increasing the efficiencies. These are also parts of creating impact in businesses. So I think you've just answered your own question. You have created the impact in your project or your organization by increasing the efficiencies, right? So you have to talk about that and many more such examples. Either onboarding more vendors or replacing the vendors who were not effective and not time productive. These are all could be part of the processes that you handle at work. So yes, that's the answer. That's your answer.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay, great. Thank you, Rajat, and all the best. Okay, so we move on to our next question, and this one's from DV. Please go ahead. I'm sorry, your name is not mentioning on the screen. It just says DV. So please go ahead with your question.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Hi.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, my name is Darshan, and my main question is that I'd like to choose between one of PGP Pro and PGP Max. To give you a bit of more context, I have more than 10 years of experience in the software technology sector, and I'm currently at an extremely early stage startup.
Okay.
My goal is to move into a CXO position.
Okay.
And / or entrepreneurship in the medium term. Also, I would kind of like to keep on working and would like to be in Mumbai as much as possible while I'm pursuing my course.
Okay.
I am leaning more towards the PGP Pro program, but I just like to know whether I'm not missing anything by applying to the PGP Max program. Is there anything between the two of them which I can choose?
Right.
For
Got it. Sure. So Darshan, I think all the points, right? 10 plus years of experience, early stage startup, aspiring to move into CXO position, and that the location Mumbai is a must for you. So yes, the PGP Pro format fits the best, because you need to understand that while you are at that cusp where you're eligible for both PGP Pro and PGP Max, but both the audiences are slightly different. PGP Pro is necessarily designed for those who are aspiring to move into CXO positions, wherein the PGP Max program is designed for CXOs already, who are already at that position. I'll tell you why it will also impact your learning experience, because PGP Pro folks are necessarily looking for career transition. Hence, all their efforts, be it club activities or be it the networking activities, they'll all be directed or positioned in that fashion. Wherein the PGP Max students are not necessarily looking for a career transition, because they're already at the epitome of their career. They are just looking for networking. They're just looking at getting the right connects at the right place. So you would see that aggression there, because their need is completely different. So this is how both the programs are different. Otherwise, the learning experience, the faculty, the curriculum is more or less same. The learning hours, contact hours that we call, is just the same. In fact, PGP Pro has the convenience of doing it in your city. So you are in Bombay. This is what I understand. So you don't have to travel to Hyderabad every week. You can be in Bombay, attend the weekend classes, and sort of complete your course. So yes, from whatever that I've heard from you, definitely PGP Pro fits the best for you.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for the context. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you so much, and all the best, Darshan.
Yeah.
We move on. Thank you. We move on to the next question, and that's from Navang. Navang, please go ahead with your question. Good evening.
Good evening, Richa and Akanksha and Kaushik. Nice speaking to you all. And my question is regarding whether there have been instances where non-STEM candidates at ISB been able to pivot after 15 years of work into a different industry, which is not very relevant to their domain and expertise and background. And whether they, apart from consulting, whether there have been cases like in biotech, healthcare, because Telangana is a strong ecosystem in terms of biotech. So have there been cases where chartered accountants or, company secretaries, CWAs, cost accountants, been able to move into healthcare and learn something in that industry and possibly move towards an entrepreneurship goal?
Absolutely. While I definitely can't think of one example, a student or an alum that I can point you to, but yes, you can absolutely pick up a healthcare specialization and then aspire to move into that industry and domain at all. So function is definitely, so you will agree that functions cut across industries, right?
Yeah.
So you could be a CA or a finance expert, but you can definitely transition or pivot your career in the healthcare industry, healthcare roles or responsibilities that you're looking at. And definitely, yes, I'm not sure of what is that one role that you're looking for in the healthcare industry, but I'm assuming that you
In
want
the R&D.
in the R&D. Okay. And within the R&D, what is it? So assuming that your current profile is from finance, you're a CA expert. Okay,
Yes.
as a CA expert moving into R&D, which is a hardcore research and development,
Yes.
what do you want to sort of research into? I mean, because this is not a technical program, you have to bear this in mind.
Biologics and biotechnical medicines through an MBA that provide, consulting into a healthcare or biotech company would offer that experience into how this company is run, and also have a overlap with the R&D department to move into something technical. So while I'm running the company in the long run, I can have the experience of what it takes to be in the R&D department, learn hands-on some skills that can go in the long run. Maybe at a later stage I can go for different course.
So I think the technical part of it, you will possibly have to depend on additional courses, because this program, the 1-year PGP program, is a purely management program.
Okay.
It will not have the technicalities, the technical stuff. For that matter, a lot of folks who want to move into product management while they pick up the PGP program, but if they want to learn a coding or any particular technical skill set, they pick up additional courses.
Yes.
Right? Because the technical part of it is certainly not covered at any of these MBA programs, not just ISB. In any of the Ivy Leagues, the technical part of it is not covered, because as it is, the duration is short and there is just so much to study. There is so much of case studies and the competitions that are happening. There's so much of there's so many ELPs which are happening. So we do not have the time, and even if we have the time, the technical part generally doesn't get covered. So mostly our students, I know that for those, especially the product management folks, they actually because they want to learn coding, etc., to be able to develop a product. For that, they pick up additional courses. But the functional or the management, the strategic side of things, the ISB will take care. So understanding of the healthcare ecosystem, understanding how the entire function is dealt and managed, all of that will be covered if you pick up the healthcare specialization. But the technicalities of the R&D and etc., the research and the microbiology, etc., I think you will have to depend on an additional program which can take care or cater to that requirement.
But will the admissions committee actually look this thing into their admissions? Because if somebody has a long-term goal vision, will they actually look into this and not restrict that to go for a technical course, rather than encourage him to apply and be accepted and learn the strategic part of the
got it. So I think absolutely, in your verbiage or in your exchange during the interviews with the alums, I think if you can capture this, that I'm not looking at ISB to gain technical knowledge, I think we're on the same page.
Yes.
Right? Because all they want to ensure is that you are choosing the right program for yourself. That you're very clear that my why MBA story is clear. So if you have enough clarity that I want ISB to leverage my management knowledge, but parallelly, I am also going to ace my game with respect to the technical aspect of it. So if that clarity is there, that your expectation setting is right, that you're not joining ISB for technical skill sets, I think we're on the same page.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And if we apply in round 3, since we will have the score by round 3, do you think that with a very small percentage of seats, would we be able to be, accepted? And in case if there is a rejection, can that still hurt the next year application?
Great. So not sure, how it will impact, because like I said, we look at the holistic profile. So your career goals and your current profile sounds very interesting and diverse, but how you ultimately spin it in your application, we don't know how it will further transpire. So yes, you can definitely gun your case for R3. In case things go south for you, you can absolutely apply again in round 1 for the subsequent academic year, and it does not impact your candidature at all. Every year we have a bunch of reapplicants, and reapplicants again is not a deterrent. We don't look at it in the negative fashion at all. In fact, in fact, when we say leadership tenets, this is one of the aspects, right? Not giving up, the resilience part of it, that you have built on your application, that you're built on your case, and you're coming back again. So I think we look at it very positively, and that's going to be expected in the essay. There's an additional essay that appears for the reapplicants, that what has changed from now to then.
Okay.
So that's it. That's the only one thing that we look at. We don't look at your earlier scores, your earlier feedback, the remarks. What we look at is the current you, what you want to do now, and what you've learned from your earlier stint. That's it. That's all that we do.
The age profile, and I see on that link in the profile section, but have there been candidates above 30? Have there been too many, or is there a fixed number of percentage that get an admit in the younger pool of applicant?
Got it. So no, there is no fixed limit. There is no upper limit. It's not binding. Every year it ranges from 10 to 12%. And I'll tell you why it is low, because frankly speaking, I think not everybody has the privilege of, pulling the plug on their working life for 1 year, because when you're going to be here on the campus for 1 year, it means you are not working. It means there is a financial impact. It means that something has to be taking care of your family in your absence. So not everybody has that privilege. Not everybody is in that comfort zone, because of which we have now launched our executive MBA portfolio. The PGP Pro and the PGP Max is exactly in that portfolio of executive MBA program, wherein they are part-time-ish in nature, they are modular in nature. They are for those people who cannot leave their job, but at the same time want to gain their management skills. So I think you are very lucky if you are able to switch off for 1 year, pull the plug on your corporate life for 1 year and be on the campus. That's the only reason why the numbers are marginally low in comparison to the larger pool, and not for any other reason. It's just that I think they've crossed that stage of, because of their personal professional commitments, they find a full-time MBA program little difficult on their wallet to sort of manage.
Okay. So I mean, if I am applying for the full-time MBA, would that still be, somewhere in the mind that if a person has a family, can that still go for a 2-year program, or should it be more suitable for PGP Max or PGP, WP, the working professionals?
I think it's all on you. It's all on you. Only one thing that you have to keep in mind is the kind of transition that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Kind of industry or the functional shift that you're looking for will not be possible in executive MBAs, because they don't offer placements. They are not designed for audience who's looking for career shift.
Okay.
Right? That opportunity is only there in the flagship MBA programs, the 1-year programs which offer placements. So that is something that you have to bear in mind. But again, and the second thing that you have to look at is the convenience, whether you can switch off for 1 year, come on the campus. You can, of course, bring your family along. We have a lot of students who are living with their families on the campus. So you can definitely bring your family along. They can live on the campus with you. So that is there. But yes, that 1 year you're studying, you're a student. So you'll have to be away from your corporate life. If that is okay, if that is not going to sort of put you in a risky position, then I think you should go for a full-time MBA, flagship MBA.
Okay. And how many of the admissions committee members review one application at a time?
So there are multiple levels. Essays are reviewed by 2 SPOCs, and then the interview is done by 3 alums.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Naman. Thank you. I think I have another show of hand. We'll take this one. Hi, Manish. Please go ahead with your question.
I had put in my question regarding the military experience. You already answered that there are people with more than 15 years of experience also on the PGP course, because it is slightly easier. I would not say easier to switch off the corporate lever for us as military officers. But if you have to make a switch, then you have to go through the grind for a year. So that is why I was looking more towards the PGP program as compared to the PG Pro.
Yeah.
So your comments on that?
Sure. So again, your first thing, Manish, if I may ask you that while yes, you're absolutely eligible for both PGP and PGP Pro, but how comfortable are you to switch off? You pull the plug on your corporate lever for next 1 year. That is the key. That is a deciding factor for PGP or PGP Pro. And the second, the transition into the corporate? Because I understand that after your long-term or your short-term service, I'm not sure which one are you currently serving. Suppose that
It's a long term. So I can pull, it's okay for me to pull off the lever for a year or so.
Perfect. Then if that is in favor and if you are looking for transition into corporate, definitely the full-time PGP, the full-time MBA program at ISB. Hands down, no brainer.
And my second question is again pertaining to the age, though you showed me the age is 45.
Right.
But that is kind of towards the outlier kind, you can say that. But does that make any difference as far as the admission committee is concerned?
Not at all. Not
An
at all.
age of 40 or something, 40, 41?
Not at all. Not at all. Age and number of years of work experience is not something that is binding. The upper limit is not binding at all. In fact, each year we have about 10 to 12 4Gs, folks who are from the armed forces background, and they do exceptionally well because they come with such rich experience. They are so focused. And in fact, there are specific roles that are cut out for them because after having 15, 20 years of experience, they are mostly specialists in supply chain operations, logistics, etc. So the e-commerce giants like the Amazons, the Flipkarts, the delivery, these big players, they come and they have very specific carved out profiles like the director, senior director, logistics, supply chain, first mile, last mile, all of these profiles for them. And hands down, without a doubt, they are recruited. So recruitment is not a problem for us. We know that you come with such rich experience and what you bring to the table, the kind of discussions that you will bring to the cohort. So I think y'all are great ticks in all the check boxes, great diversity profiles for the school as well, right? Because that is also an important element. So I think it's a win-win case for both the students, what they have to gain from ISB, and from ISB, what we have to gain from your profile, having you in the classroom. So it's a win-win situation for both in this case.
All right. Thank you so much. That answers most of my questions. The main thing was regarding the age and the experience, but you've addressed it quite adequately. Thank you so much, Richa.
Thank you so much. Pleasure. Thank you so much. All the best.
Bye. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay. With that, we move on to our next question. Hi, Dori. Please go ahead with your question. Good evening.
Yes, good evening. I am Lokesh.
Oh, Lokesh. Sorry. I saw Dori as the first name.
No, surname got exchanged.
No
anyway. I think Kaushik has already answered the question in the chat box. My question was regarding the round 3 deadlines.
Round 3. Okay.
Yes. But
so yes, we do have a round 3. This is for the larger audience. If they've missed reading it in the chat box, yes, there will be a round 3. The round 3 dates are not finalized yet. So hence I will not be able to spell out the dates on this platform, but it's typically going to be Jan end, the latter half of the Jan. So either the last or last but one Sunday. So this is what we've proposed. So this is where the R3 is going to typically fall into. But yes, R3 is there, certainly there.
I specifically am asking this because I have my GMAT. I have to write it. I want to apply an R3.
Okay.
It's kind of cutthroat for me, so I just wanted to be aware and be careful that I don't.
Sure. Absolutely, Lokesh. So give us another week or so. Possibly by this week, we should definitely have something and we should be publishing the dates. But please rest assured safely, it's in the latter half of the Jan. So possibly you can plan something by the mid of Jan. If it's something very urgent that you have to close in next 1 or 2 days.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Right. Okay, sure. Thank you. So any more show of hands, guys? Any more questions that you may have? Have you all started building on your application? Any application related questions also feel free to take them here. We'll be more than happy to take it up.
So there's one question from Karthik. He has asked how many admissions rounds are expected this year. So Karthik, there are 3 rounds every year. R1 is over, which is round 1. Round 2 is on December 4th deadline. R3, like Richa mentioned now a minute back, it is going to be somewhere post 15th January, maybe towards 3rd or the 4th week of January. That's about these 3 rounds, and this has been a trend more or less every year. Again, the second question, what is the difference? What is the difference in one chance? Okay, so I have mentioned it earlier also, and also again, so majority of the class gets filled with R1 and R2. Okay, that does not mean people don't get selected through R3. R3, of course, If there's a round, that means people are getting selected, people are getting into the class. So yeah, that's what about it. That's all about it. Yeah.
Yeah, great. I do see.
Also, Richa, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Also, if okay, so in round one we have scholarship up to 100%. In round two, it goes down to 75%, up to 75%, and in round three it goes down up to 50%. So round by round, so scholarship percentage goes down. So that thing also to be kept in mind in case somebody is eyeing for scholarships.
Right. We have a question from Rajat. Yes, Rajat, please go ahead. Unmuting you now.
Yes, this is Rajat again here.
Yes.
Actually, I have one question regarding the academic details. When we feel it's about 10th exam, 10th marks, 12th marks, and undergraduate marks. And in all of these three sections, the marks is awarded in percentage, and there's no relative marking about it. My 10th and 12th board was a state board, so they award marks in percentage. And also my undergraduate college also award marks in percentage, not in relative terms in percentile or CGPA. So relative marking and absolute percentage marks are treated separately, or are they just differently basically? Because generally the UP board from which I belong, the marks are not goes that high in compared to other boards, CBSE and ISB, 90-95% are fairly common.
Correct. Yes, a very good question, very important question, Rajat. So the system is designed in such a way that, for example, we all know that the UP board, so there are various boards, for example, the ICSE, ISC board, the CBSE board and the UP board, if we pick up the example. We all know that, the kind of 90 percentages or the 95 percentages that you see in CBSE board, it's slightly less when it comes to ICSE, ISC, and it's further very, very low when you look at the UP board, right? So the system has been designed in such a way that it takes care of this. Not just this, it also takes care of, let's say, if you are a manager in X organization and if you're a manager in Y organization. So it also looks at, which organization and which industry, because a manager in X organization can be somebody from a mid-senior profile, vis-a-vis a manager in a Y company could be a senior person, right? So over a period of 20 years, the system has been loaded with so much of information and so much of permutation combination. It takes care of this. So you don't have to worry. Just key in your respective university, college name, your respective marks. Rest all the backend team, they're all sort of well designed and trained. They will take care of how much weightage has to be given. So yes, a 50% of an ICSE, CBSE or a UP board will not be the same. It will be treated differently. So don't worry about that.
Okay, that's all. Thank you very much.
Okay, Raja, thank you so much. There is a very interesting question in the chat window. What's the turnaround time for admissions outcome for R1, R2, R3? So Navang, while R1 and R2 follows the same cycle typically, so after the deadline, within 2.5 months, you will have your results in hand. In these 2.5 months, the interviews will be conducted, consolidation of all the results, etc. will be done. So R1 and R2 takes about 2.5 months. Vis-a-vis R3 is a little lean because R3 deadlines typically happen by Jan. The program has to start mid-April. This year, the program starts on 15th of April. So R3 results will be turned around in 1.5 months. All right. So R3 operates a slightly different note. Archit says, for letter of recommendation, can it be someone of the same designation as I am? Archit, one piece of advice here, that ultimately, why do we need this LOR, right? This LOR is needed to help ISB understand you better, right? To see those leadership potential qualities in you, which possibly you missed writing in your form, in your essay or through your other content that goes in there. But a third perspective brings in, or it's an additional lens that we get to understand your profile better. So look at it this way, that somebody who's at the same designation or the same pedestal will not see you as a potential leader. Only somebody who's been managing you or whom you've been reporting into will possibly see your future leadership potential, right? So that's why choose your recommender wisely, preferably somebody who has to be at a more senior position because they have gone through that cycle and they know your struggles, they know your hits and misses. They will be able to see that leadership qualities in you. So that's why it's important that somebody's senior. It could be from the same organization. You could reach out to somebody from your earlier organization. For all the entrepreneurs and working and family business owners, you could reach out to vendors, clients, customers, somebody on the board who's not your family member. Basically, no family member or relative because it'll be a conflict of interest. All right. So that's something that you have to bear in mind. We'll go to Lokesh. Yes, Lokesh, please go ahead with your question. I see a show of hand.
Yes, I just had one small doubt. Kaushik just told about the scholarships. My
Right.
doubt was the 50% goes equally for all the types of scholarships, right? Or like there are 3 to 4.
All the types of scholarships. Yes.
Okay, that's same for every category.
That's same. Yes. That's right.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, there is a question in the chat window. Vinayak, I'll come back to you. There's a question on letter of recommendation. Can a second recommendation come from a previous direct supervisor, someone with whom I've been in touch with after I left the organization a decade ago? So Navang, we only need one LOR. Okay, there is no scope for second LOR because let me just quickly show you. The process is fairly simple. You do not have to, so this is your letter of recommendation. And if you see, you just have to, it only allows you to enter one email ID, right? So there is no placeholder to write any other email ID. There's only one email ID that you can actually enter. So there is only one LOR. Don't even send me anything over an email. I don't want it. Only one LOR is enough. So now this LOR could be from somebody who you are working currently with, or somebody you're comfortable with who's seen your progression, because we also say that possibly the way we were, right? Every year we also evolve. We also mature just the way we do our work, right? So whatever was possibly our weakness 3-4 years back may have become our strengths now, right? So it's very important to reach out to somebody who's seen the latest version of you, not the older version of you, because he will write whatever he has to write based on his understanding of you then. But you possibly would have evolved from point A to point B. Is he aware of this transition? If yes, then go for him. But if you think that the gap is too much, you've changed a lot, then pick up somebody who's more recent, right? If you don't want your manager to know because you feel that now is not the right time, he may not support you in your journey to ISB or your MBA, you can reach out to your stakeholders. Other stakeholders could be your customer, clients, vendors, but definitely go out for someone who's seen the recent version of you, right? Yes, Vinayak, I'll now move to your question. Please go ahead. I've unmuted you.
Yeah, hi, Richa. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for doing this, by the way. It really helps me a lot. So I just have a question from my application perspective. So, you know, the rest of the entire application, apart from the essays, it is more of a quantitative approach to it, right? The impact that you've done, your scores, how well you have fared in your academics. But when it comes to the essays, right? So how do you kind of compare essays? And because, like you said, you know, creativity matters, but then there's no quantitative approach to kind of measure to essays. So how do you kind of compare it, or in other sense, an applicant, what are the different parameters that he or she should be making sure that he puts it in the essay so that it can have a greater impact?
Very good question again, Vinayak. And believe you me, this is out of sheer experience now that I will reply to you, that when we read an essay, right? And believe you me, very senior people are reviewing these essays. We know that whether it's a true, honest story of yours or whether it's a lifted Google template, right? Because just by reading those 400 words, one, we have looked at the entire progression, right? Before coming to the essays, we have gone through your start, whether be it the academics or your professional journey. So we have a fair idea of your profile. And if that is not a match with what you're writing in the essay, we know that this is not your true story. So while reading, we know that. And secondly, when in the interview, right, let's say when we read the essay, we are able to connect with you, we are able to feel you, we know that, yes, this candidate should be called at the interview and this candidate should be given an opportunity. And when we then forward it to the interview panel, that's where the real test happens. There'll be enough and more questions around every single word that has been written, be it the hobbies as well. I would love to cite an example here. So very recently, I was doing a session in Bombay with a bunch of alums, and this was for prospects only, wherein this alum said that she got rejected when she applied first to the ISB because she had just casually mentioned in her hobbies baking cakes for weddings. And she said that the entire interview revolved around wedding industry. How big is the wedding industry? How big is the gifting industry? And her interview tanked. And then she realized how important it is to know every single word that has to go in the application form. Very similarly, another alum was sharing his experience that he just mentioned casually that he loves playing football. And the interview started with the recent football match and who won and what was the strategy. Fortunately, because he truly believed in it, he was truly following football, so he could make it. But they were just surprised that there was nothing technical. Yes, it's not going to be technical. No programming, no coding, no formula, math formula is going to be asked. But the single agenda of the alums that day is to verify that the person on the paper is same as the person sitting in front of them. So every information that you enter, whether it's your roles and responsibilities, they will ask you what were the challenges that you faced. So let's talk about your one failure story and what have you learned from it. So if you're not able to talk about it, if you've generally not been part of that, beyond a point, you'll find it very difficult to talk on that subject matter. And that will be the make or break of your story. So that's how typically each profile, we right now at this stage don't compare. Each essay is unique, each profile is unique at ISB. And that is important to us. We don't want to compare your profile or your essay with anybody else's. We just read it. If it is creating the impact, it is connecting with us, we can feel you, we can hear you, we can understand your need. We will then forward it to the interview. At the interview, alums do all the ascertaining and all the all the question answer rounds that they have to do. So this is how we typically are able to identify the true stories. That's all that we're expecting for. It has to be a true, honest story. We don't want any most importantly, a lot of students also ask about that whether they can use quotes and proverbs and the kind of language, English language that has to go in there. Avoid using all of that. It's a limited space of 400 words. So use this real estate very wisely. Do not use any quotes or proverbs. We're not even looking at ornamental English. It could be a simple colloquial English, but a true, honest, simple story of yours. That's it. That makes the difference. So again, you don't have to go for the data point, etc. Just whatever you are, whoever you are, whatever you want, your expectations are, just write them down and it'll do the magic. That'll help.
Perfect.
That'll float your boat. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks so much, Richa. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day. All the best. Okay.
Richa, Nawang has got a couple of questions. I have unmuted him with regards to quantitative versus qualitative factors when evaluating an applicant application and also on GPA. So Nawang, you can...
Sure, please go ahead, Nawang.
So hi Richa, this is regards to the GPA. Since I graduated last from a master's in 2008,
sure.
That time the grading system was like 0 to 100 scale. Nowadays it is more GPA and CGPA.
Yes. Correct.
So how does the admissions committee view these transcripts in wake of somebody applying at my age and somebody with CGPA? How are they able to vis-a-vis kind of transcript?
So very simple, Nawang. In the application form, you have the absolute flexibility to mention whether it's a scale of 100. In fact, I'll just start sharing my screen and show it to you.
Basically, how do they compare? Because somebody these days the percentages are going high. Very high.
There is no comparison. No two of them are equated. Both of them are treated differently and independently. So it will not be compared at all. If I have to sort of...
Somebody from a Delhi university will have those, higher grades. And somebody from other national universities or regular normal universities
Correct.
grade A, NAC accredited will have a different weightage altogether because the
Correct.
grading system, the teaching methodology is different
Correct.
always.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, that's right. So we do understand that. And see, frankly speaking, so here if I pick up, let's say this, right? So if you see, you can possibly write 75 and on a scale of, depending on whether it's 4, 10, in this case it's 100, just go ahead and select that. And we will not compare. There is no comparison at all. So if you got a 50%, let's say, in Delhi University, it'll be very different from somebody who's got a 5 CGPA or a 4 CGPA out of 10, or a 2 CGPA out of 4, or a 5. So each of them are treated independently. The system, the algorithm in the back end knows how to deal with all of these. In fact, if I have to also add here, none of these parameters require a human intervention. Be it your GMAT GRE score, we do not have access to any of the scores, either the Adcom who's reviewing your application at this stage, or at the time of interview when the alums are interviewing you. All of this is taken care by the algorithm, the backend algorithm. Your GMAT GRE scores and all your 10th, 12th graduation, the marks, the value part of it, everything the algorithm takes care. We only go through your LOR, the 2 essays, your trajectory, your career progression trajectory. These are the things that we look at, and these are the scores that we assign, or rather these are the parameters on which we assign you the scores. That's it. Rest everything, all of these gradings and all of these parts, these are actually done by algorithm. We don't
So
even
when
have access
it
to
comes to a NAC accredited universities, which is not a national important university or eminent university, how does the algorithm pick that? There's somebody like
Again, so the name, in fact, there is no grading at all on the name of the organization. A lot of students ask me, not just for the universities, but also that I don't come from the big fours, or I don't work in a Fortune 500. The name of the organization or the institute is not important. Again, a lot of weightage is given to what value you bring to the table, what contribution you've done in your work profile. So you could be so I had one of this candidate who was talking about working in an early stage startup, right? So we don't look at the size of that startup, but the kind of work that he's doing in the startup, right? The kind of impact that he's creating in that role, that is more important. And that is why we are here. We go through this content and these essays, and then we sort of understand your profile. So the name of the organization and the institute is not important at all. There is
how is the vision or thought process for a post-MBA goal looked into when it comes to writing an essay? When the admissions committee read them, there's somewhere that we put short-term and long-term goal.
Correct.
So how is that vision and thought process evaluated in terms of the applicant promise versus ground reality?
So again, one, it has to be realistic, not far-fetched. Okay, it doesn't have to be vague. It has to be very, very crisp. So at our level, our job is not to look at the correctness of the data, because that we leave it on the interview panel. We are only looking at whether it is realistic. It's not very vague. Basic things like, oh, you know what, I want to contribute to the nation by providing a healthcare system which is easy to approach and very, very free of cost. Now that's a very vague statement, right? But somebody who's got a very structured approach to this. So we are looking at crisp, structured approach, not very vague, very, very clear. Clarity of thoughts will show and reflect in any of the essay. That you'll believe, right? If you read a passage, you'll know if it is vague or if it is crisp. So we just look at that it's not very vague. And then rest of your approach, etc., will be taken care of the interview again.
Okay.
We don't sort of very critically look into an essay at all. We're not very too critical of any essay. Any aspiration, any dream role is absolutely okay. It's not vague, it's not out of the box. It's okay. A lot of students ask me that, what if it is too out of the box? It's okay. That's your career aspiration. That is what you want. If you can talk about it, be prepared that there'll be questions, that the alums will throw questions at you. You have to carry it. You have to have proper answers. That why you want to transition from finance into R&D, why you want to move into healthcare, what is that one cause that you truly believe in, how will you contribute as a CA? Be ready for all of those questions your way. Yeah.
All right. And what's the weightage given for qualitative versus quantitative factors when evaluation of an applicant? Quantitative as in GMAT score vis-a-vis qualitative like a non-profit work experience.
Yes. So unfortunately, I will not be able to disclose the percentages allocation that is done.
Okay.
But the three most out of the 5+1, we call it as the 6 parameters. So the first 3 or the top 3 are essay, LOR, your GMAT GRE. These are 3 things which are the most important parameters in the evaluation process. These are also some things which is within your control currently. What is not within your control? To go back in the history and change your 10th, 12th and your graduation. It's done and dusted. All you can do with that is enter it, save it and forget about it. No need to get overwhelmed or fret about it. That's something you cannot change, guys. And the 5th one is the career progression. You possibly started slow and low, but eventually you're getting there. You cannot go back in the past and change that trajectory again. So no need to fret about it or get overwhelmed about it. It's done and dusted. So these are 5 parameters basis which you're shortlisted for the interview. That's where the 6th parameter comes in, your performance or your interview score. So these are the 5+1 parameters, which is your cumulation, your overall aggregation of profile score. So I can't.
Can you summarize these again? I'm just making a note of it. If you can summarize.
Yes, the essays, the LORs, the GMAT GRE scores, the academic history, and your career trajectory. These are 5. The 6th one is interview.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So career trajectory, the career progression has to be, I mean, the vision will have an impact on the career trajectory post MBA. Can that be a, evaluating parameter?
So the career trajectory is how you've progressed in last 10 years. It's a completely separate parameter as compared to the essay.
Okay. Right. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks.
Right. So just 3 things that you have to control or that you have to work at is the first 3. The essay, work on your essays, choose your recommender wisely and your preparation for your exam. These are the only 3 things which you can control and you should only worry about. Rest too, it's okay. It's done and dusted, cannot go back in the past and change. So that's why we give a lot of impetus to these 3, the first 3.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you. All right. So yes, Vinayak, please go ahead. I see you. Okay. Karthik, please go ahead. I see a show of hand.
Hi, good evening, ma'am. So,
Hi, good evening.
So currently I am working with, Reliance Jio and been in the field of digital marketing. Like we design technical solutions for acquisition and retention of customers, and that happens through digital platform.
Okay.
So I just wanted to know about post ISB, what the scope of digital transformation curriculum and also for digital business curriculum. So what kind of placements do happen in that domain?
Great. So again, digital transformation cuts across all the industries, right? We have a specialization in digital transformation, so to say. So it is huge. It's a very big one of the focus areas. So currently ISB focuses on public policy, entrepreneurship and digital transformation. These are 3 main, the new research centers that have come up, and there's a lot of focus in these areas among many others. So there is a huge scope and a lot of folks pick up the digital transformation specialization. And like I said, digital transformation cuts across all the industries, auto industry, healthcare industry, pick up any industry, there's digital transformation. In fact, the pandemic has done a lot of digital disruption. So everybody seems to be talking about digital transformation now. So it's a very, very hot piece right now in industry.
Yeah, thanks, ma'am. That answers my question.
Okay, sure, Vedant. Thank you so much.
Also, he had a question to which I answered no, that he could not apply for last 2 years due to COVID. So will it impact his application? So no, Vedant, it is not going to impact your application. Don't worry.
All right, great. Yes, Varun, we do accept online scores. So online or test center, official or unofficial, all of these scores are accepted as long as the only caveat is that you should have written the exam on or before 4th of December. That's it. You're absolutely eligible to apply. I think no more questions in the chat window. Any more show of hands, guys? We're happy to take any more questions that you may have for us.
Good evening, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, absolutely. Loud and clear. Please go ahead.
So when it comes to career goals, do I really need to have very unique career goals as such, which may stand out in my essays, or is it okay for me to have career goals that play to my strengths and my career trajectory as well, and it will be still be considered at par with students who may have very, unique and different career goals as such.
So absolutely, I think you brilliantly answered the question yourself, that you just need to first have a clarity of what you want to do. We are not looking at uniqueness of your career goal. We are looking at uniqueness of your profile, which means we are looking for what strengths and what you bring to the table for the community. But when it comes to career goals, we're looking at clarity, right? How it overall blends in, how the overall story is getting stitched of what you've done, what you're doing currently, and what you want to do next. That story, how you connect the dots, that clarity is what we are looking for. It could be just the run of the mill, which is just fine, but you've written it with, you've articulated it really well, and you've written it with utmost clarity and a lot of crispness in that essay, and just fine. So that's all that we're looking for.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, Srijat. Yes, Ranita, please go ahead with your question. Okay, I think she got disconnected. There's a question in the chat window, and this one's from Archit. What is the methodology adopted at ISB PGP? Is it case methodology or book study? Also, in what stage during progress can a student choose electives? So your first question, Archit, yes, it's a case method based teaching at ISB. And totally depending on the faculty and the course which you are pursuing, it could be a book study. The faculty could give you case studies or could give you additional material which is available in the LRC. Our LRC is a great team. So whatever it is, the faculty will assign that to you. And the second question, at what stage? So in 1 year, you have 8 terms. The first 3 terms are your core modules, which is common to all 900 students. Your next 5 terms, your 4th through the 8th term, that is your electives. So all your electives will fall in this space, and these electives will then lead to specializations. Each term is about 5 weeks. So your first 3.5 months will go in your core modules, and the next 9 months go in your core or your electives, if I have to say. By when does the Vedant says, by when does the R3 results to usually get declared? So Vedant, R3 results will be typically first week of March. So you will essentially get about 4 to 5 weeks to close all the exit formalities. If you're a working professional, so resign, serve your notice period, take care of all the logistics, which is taking care of your family in your absence. So all of this has to be prepared well in advance if you are going for R3. All of these things have to be kept in mind. Right? Any more questions? No, I think there are none in the chat window. And I also don't see any more show of hands. Okay. Yeah, Karthik. Yes, Karthik, please go ahead.
Sorry for earlier, but can recommendations and official GMAT scores go after the submission of applications? And if so, how many days after the submission must we submit these?
Sure, Karthik. Again, a very good question. So yes, you can submit the official scores after the deadline as well, as long as you submitted the application. So let's say, hypothetically, you're writing your exam on the 3rd or the 4th of December, and you've got your unofficial scores. You enter your unofficial scores on the portal. In the upload document section, because you don't have your official report card, you can upload the email confirmation that you received, which is a confirmation of your test date. You can upload that, submit your application. Your official score can come in next 2 to 3 weeks. So that window is permissible for official scores. When it comes to letter of recommendation, you can trigger the email today itself. Okay. However, we will give you after the deadline an additional 1 week to follow up with your recommender and ask him to submit the responses. So for recommender, you can safely assume deadline plus 1 week. And for your official scores, deadline plus 2 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks, how much ever time it takes.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Karthik.
Nawang has a question with regards to post-bachelor experience and all, yeah.
The MBA application asks for post-bachelor's experience to determine applicant into PGP or early entry. How in case I have a master's degree, should I mark post-qualification experience and ensure the accuracy of the date, as it will be rather helpful than otherwise? So Nawang, yes, So you could also give a tentative date. So let's say you've graduated, you've completed your graduation with respect to your master's, your post-graduation in the month of April. So as long as the dates are not conflicted, if you have started working on 10th of April, make sure that your end date for master's degree could be anything which is on or before 10th of April. So that's the only one thing that you have to keep in mind, no conflict of dates. And yes, your full-time work experience will start after master's, or you could keep your master's as part-time. I'm not sure if you've done it over a weekend or if it was online. You can mark your master's as part-time. And if you started working or if you're working during that tenure, then you can keep your work experience full-time. Basically, your work experience cannot be in conflict with any other full-time stint, be it education or be it any other startup stint or be it any other freelancing work that you are doing. So your mainstream job has to be full-time. So if you want, you can keep your work experiences full-time. And during that period, if you were doing your master's, you can mark your master's as part-time. So that is also acceptable.
Yes, so my question was regarding this master's degree. But I completed my bachelor's in 2006 and master's in 2008.
Okay.
Does that make, that post-qualification experience from the date I completed the bachelor's or after I graduated from master's? Because that will be a 2.5 year period timeline in between.
So when you completed your graduation in 2006, did you also start working?
I was working for a non-profit since 2006 as a part-timer.
Okay.
But I was attending full-time programs.
No, so then in that case, your not-for-profit stint will be part-time. And
Okay.
because your master's was a full-time, because your
Yes.
degree will mention it's a full-time.
Yes.
So you will have to mark your master's as full-time.
But the application is asking post-qualification undergrad, that post-bachelor's
Not a problem.
experience.
So
Okay.
not a problem. So anything that you started after your master's got over in 2008,
Fine.
that period will become your full-time.
Right. All right.
Yeah.
That'll be all. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, Karthik, you have a question for us?
Yes, thank you. If an applicant has a family business that one intends to continue part-time after the MBA or while taking up a job through ISB, how should one reflect this in applications?
Okay, so Karthik, if I've understood your question correctly, you want to pursue your family business stint while you were at ISB?
Yes. Yes.
Right. So Karthik, I think it's a completely independent choice. Firstly, based on whatever little interaction that I've had with the students, you won't get time. You will not have the time because your classes will get over by 6:30, 7 o'clock, and then you have your exams and then you have your assignments. The case studies will only be about 300, 400 pages, which you have to finish reading in 2 hours and submit your assignment by 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning. And then again, sleep for 2 hours and come to the class at 8 o'clock. So based on my experience, I don't think you will have the time. But however, if you still have the time, please go ahead and support your family business. Not a problem. That's an independent choice.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Right. So no questions there. Any more questions for us, guys? Okay. I think over to you, Akanksha. I think we've successfully covered all the questions that our lovely students had for us. So over to you.
Thank you so much, Richa, for so patiently taking all the questions and for clarifying even the minutest of details. So I'm sure it's going to be very insightful for everyone who attended. And thank you, Kaushik, for all your detailed responses on chat. And I was reading them all. I'm very certain that the entire process is going to be so much more streamlined for anyone who attended this session and anyone who later on even views this session. So thanks a lot. It clarified a lot. Yeah.
Thank you, Akanksha. Thank you so much. And I think with that, we'll draw close to today's session. So thank you, Kaushik, for organizing this. Thank you, Experts Global team. Thank you, Akanksha, for hosting us, having here on this platform and helping the students. Thank you, lovely audience, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us, taking out time on a Sunday evening and spending it with us. I hope it was an evening well spent. I hope we were able to cover all the questions that you had for us. We are right here. If you have additional questions for us, feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn. Kaushik has already pasted our LinkedIn profile details in the chat window. So feel free to reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to connect with you over a call and take any questions that you may have for us. If it is application portal related question, feel free to just drop in a screenshot and we'll connect with you. We'll have somebody from the IT team connect with you, pick it up. So we're right here, in short, for any questions that you may have. So all the best for your future endeavors, and have a great, great, great evening, and have a great, safe new year also. So thank you so much. Thank you, Kaushik. Thank you, Experts Global team. Thank you so much again. Thank you, team. Thank you, AV team, for conducting this session. Thank you for a very streamlined and very, very smooth process today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Richa. Thank you so much.